To own or not to own? Look, should I rent or share as opposed to owning an asset? The move towards leveraged assets is increasing exponentially. Hey, I'm John Harris, and this is the Exponential Entrepreneur Academy, coming to you live from our digital studios. Owning critical assets such as big machinery, etc., was a standard process for brick and mortar businesses. Basically, everything was owned, the staffing was internal, and perhaps one of the first to go into a rental basis were photocopiers. The move towards shared resources gives you a couple of strategic advantages. Obviously, there's not the capitalization, and most importantly, there's huge flexibility. So let's think about some of the companies out there that are utilizing leveraged assets. Apple has a partnership with Foxconn. So the factories that are producing many of the Apple products is actually produced in somebody else's factories. That's a partnership, and it means something that Apple doesn't have to own. The Tesla story is slightly different. Tesla has its own factories, and it's not really about the money saving. Elon Musk has got some very new capabilities within his factories, and he sees them as a strategic advantage. For example, in production of batteries now, he's looking to be ultra effective and efficient. Even in his Falcon rocket creation, I think some crazy figure like they're going to have the capacity to build a rocket a month in the future. Some crazy stats. So it depends on your point of view, but the flexibility is very important, and you can use it for research and development as well as production, and as well as idea sharing. I'd like to tell you a story because I myself went and set up a little shared space, and in many areas it's very successful, but of course the one thing I didn't do, which I shouldn't, and which I talk about, is research. So I just jumped in as usual, and a lot of what happens with the competition in shared space, co-working space, is that they would be convenient to areas where there are a lot of companies, a lot of organizations. So it's very convenient to go to whatever place is nearest, physical space is nearest to them, to use a leveraged asset such as a co-working space, a shared space, for doing some team discovery, research and development, innovation ideas, and things like that. And unfortunately, I chose an area where there isn't a lot of business, and there wasn't really enough traction with small business enterprises. It wasn't that feasible. There wasn't a great money-making idea. But it is working in areas in a very big way, even with independent small business owners, where they come in and share ideas. Because for a lot of independents, and as you know, for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's very lonely. And to become exponential, to double your capabilities and capacity, it's very important to share ideas, to share innovation, and to work and co-work with other people, to have teams. And a lot of it, okay, fair enough, can be outsourced. Take examples to expand on the idea, gyms. So a lot of people may have a little gym equipment at home, some gym equipment at home, and they use it. But if you go and join a gym, a big gym, there's a lot more space, there are a lot more machines, there's instruction, there's motivation than the other people. The motivation is very important. Being isolated on your own isn't conducive to being that productive, okay, unless you're doing some creative work. So Tech Shop's another one. Tech Shop has big machinery. So companies in the area for a monthly fee can join Tech Shop, and they can come in and use their machinery, obviously on availability, and they can get things done without having to capitalize huge amounts of money for large machinery. In the digital world, that now is not localized to a specific plant. If you're doing printing, you can send a code across the planet and have something printed. Okay, maybe not on mass scale, but on specific items, digital is very powerful because it doesn't have borders. So, we have companies that actually import different printing machines, and they also have a facility where you can go to them and use the different types of machines to do printing jobs. So it's an added income source for them. Then staff and demand, here's another big one. So a lot of companies will have staff, their basic core staff, they'll have other staff depending on the size of the organization. But what often happens is for a specific project, they may not need permanent staff. They may need to subcontract or set up a project, shall I say, team. So that project team can then be subcontract. They can source it out from other companies, other platforms. You can go to platforms to source work out, freelancer, etc. There are a lot of platforms out there that you can get work done by other people that aren't permanent staff. And this is very powerful because some of the people are very good at jobs, aren't necessarily the qualified ones within certain industries. It's quite incredible. The folding of protein, for example, how different proteins fold is what those molecular structures is what creates the different proteins, how it folds together. It's one of the very strange events in nature. And scientists have been trying to work this out for a long time. They've been using algorithms and all sorts of things to try and understand this. Highly qualified people. Yet one of the most expert folders in the world is, I believe it was a lady from Liverpool or somewhere, and she's a PA or secretary, and she was brilliant at creating these folded proteins, which was a gamification exercise, a game they played, and they asked her how she did it, and she said it's kind of like a crocheting. Okay, so often some people that are very good at things aren't necessarily qualified in those things. So finding the best people, going to the crowd, which is an interim step to AI, is quite a good way of getting staff and actually problem solving. You can have other competitions where you can set up prize money and you can get people coming in from around the world and they can compete for that prize money to get an outcome. For example, the oil spills, how to clean up the oil spills. I think that was done, the winner of that was a tattoo artist, okay? The space travel. You got Branson entering in Virgin, the space travel, Galaxy space travel. The thing was, it didn't start out like it. He didn't enter it to start with. Peter Dominguez and X Prize went in and sorry, competition, $10 million to get a vehicle to go into space twice within a certain short period of time to be reusable to a certain altitude, and there was a winner for that, and then he jumped in. Okay, so that solved the problem, and you can see that private enterprises in the space race now, and a lot of problems can get solved through the crowd. Shared resources, here's another one to think about. So why I'm mentioning this, because to become exponential, you've got to have a different business model. You need to understand that you can have a very small team be very powerful. We know about Kodak and Instagram. Instagram, a very small team, 13 or so, sold for $1 billion to Facebook. Kodak got into all sorts of trouble. I think it was 130,000 employees. So you can see the disproportionate competitive advantage you have when you have an exponential organization. Uber. So, Uber doesn't own cars. Well, I believe they may be starting to buy up some Teslas. But they were using other people's resources, shared resources, creating a platform for drivers and people to organize transport. You've got Airbnb. They don't own buildings. So they're one of the biggest hotel groups now, or accommodation, should I say, in the world. So that is somebody's resource. They may have extra space. They want to rent it. They go through Airbnb. So you can see the power of these platforms that are sharing resources and how they can cut your capitalization massively in order to make you more competitive. And you can use it more for innovation and R&D. So these are things to think about when you're going to become exponential. Even if you're doing it as an individual entrepreneur, you're going to be using other people's platforms. If you're creating things where you're creating your own products, maybe it's information products, you're in the knowledge industry, maybe you're looking to do a how-to product, you're going to use other people's platforms to do your funnels on, for example, to do your automations on, for your email campaigns, etc. You may then subcontract a lot of that work out through Fiverr, etc. to get those jobs done, get your assets created. So these are things you need to be thinking about as how you can leverage up and ratchet up your capabilities as an exponential entrepreneur. So that's a little bit about leveraged assets, and I hope it's been useful. Remember, you can like, follow, subscribe to us, and you can always go to our Facebook page. There is a link there if you'd like to see where our next exponential mastermind, or go onto that list, and we'll be coming up in the new year with the next year's exponential mastermind program. And as usual, I'll see you in the next episode.